Hi everybody, welcome to this Thursday's episode of Top O'Clock. Today I am not only sitting in a slightly different angle just because, last weekend I thought I'd deep clean my studio after a couple of months, maybe like 3 or 4 not having done so. It was time and that's a valid reason to paint the studio walls, as I wanted to do for about a year now, maybe. And of course, it's also the valid reason to restructure and rethink certain things, like adding the knitting and crochet area to my upstairs studio, not having it in the downstairs living room place, and all of that. So I had to rearrange the furniture, therefore also my art and crafts table here. And that's why I'm having a different kind of a background angle, whatnot, with the top clocks. Anyway, the topic that I chose for today to talk about is markers. So very recently I painted, or I drew. What do you say with markers? Are you painting? Are you drawing? Coloring? Well, whatever word works best for you. I drew a piece in my art journal just with markers. Until not too long ago, I actually preferred having markers as a part of a painting. So being mixed media, when you have like, I don't know, watercolors on top, and to define some details or have some shading done, you'd come in with a marker. If I would have done a piece solely on markers, it would have been a cartoon or something. So I didn't go for realistic kind of work, or maybe just pop art, pieces of art with markers until not too long ago. And that would be maybe the last 12 months that I used markers differently. And that I actually also acquired quite a couple of markers and spent hundreds of euros to fill my studio and get kind of a stock in certain things, because what I had until then were just those that you get in the supermarket, no name, no brand markers, and I don't even know, is there? No, it just says the brand, but it doesn't say if it's alcohol marker or Indian ink. So these are just the cheapest cheap markers, and I have those to like doodle and using them to plan a painting if I didn't want to go for pencils. Sometimes I need some color, I need some not changeable, not erasable line work done when it comes to composing a painting or sketching. So I had those, and they were sufficient for the longest time. And then I do have these what are they? Stabilo pens, those markers with the bit thicker tip here. And I really like the coloring and the saturation of those, and they feel more like a brush and not like a marker. But I use them for sketching most, and for doing what are they called? Pictograms, like nonograms. Some riddle, jigsaw, puzzle, Sudoku kind of thing. So I use those. I always have a couple of those, and I keep them in their box when I do have some open stock still available. So I don't always use the new ones, but I need to have a certain color palette to work with those. So these were number 2, and it was only those 2 kinds of markers for the longest time, maybe even years, I'd say. I wouldn't go as far as say a decade, but at least I'd say 5 years or something like that. It was just these two markers in my studio, and they're fine enough, right? So when we moved here, I got an overhead projector to help me with the bigger paintings and or murals and whatnot. So I had to have markers that would work on the clear sheets that you'd put onto the OHP. So I got a couple of these markers, and they're Staedtler Lumocolor. They're waterproof and refillable, and it doesn't say, hold it, permanent, light fast. So it doesn't say if it's alcohol marker, but I think so, because yeah, they're what's it say? It doesn't say anything. So because well, they're permanent, and you can they also have the smaller tip here. You can really well, draw and sketch and whatnot nicely, either on paper, though they bleed quite through the layers, just as Copics, or also the Faber-Castells that I'm going to talk about in a few. But they were nice. So what I don't like about them, or just using those for artwork, is that you can see every stroke that you made. And you could see them also with these kinds of markers, for depending on the color, of course, but mostly you could see them also with the Stabilos. So I was then on the lookout for some markers that I could do solid surfaces with, that I could use in art journals, or I don't know, just do sketching, doodling, whatnot, developing a bit more of a skill in that part of an area, and getting away from the classic cartoon style or manga style, you know? Oh, sorry, I have to take a sip of coffee. I didn't have a lot. And it was then that I researched online what kinds of markers are out there, how was the reviews, what would I give a try and what not. And I always heard about the Copics and about the Faber-Castells and the artist brush pens and whatnot. And, well, simply said, they're just very, very expensive. So I did shy away from trying those, and I went with some Indian ink pens first, just to try if I liked the way they behaved in the medium. And these were just from the supermarket here, like super cheap. And it's just Indian ink, and it has a thicker brush tip. And I just went with a set of, I think it was 12. Let me see if I do all keep them in a plant pot, because I think that's just nice. At least if, when it comes to packaging, not all of the companies do have great packaging, and I just, yeah, can't stand it. But more about that in a sec. I think that's all the markers, so that's 3, 6, 9, 10. I got 10 markers. They came in a set, like I said, super cheap, supermarket quality, and I really liked working with those. I had to try quite a bit on working with wet surfaces with those, or just like how to fade out these colors and how to make them blend and everything. But once I had that down, they were really, really good. So I knew I really liked Indian ink pencils, or pens, or I did have Indian ink, like with the calligraphy thingy going on in my studio artwork wise already. So I knew I liked the medium, but would I like them as pens? And yes, I did. I found that out. So I was okay to acquire Indian ink pens if the opportunity should arise. That's what I took away from those markers. So then I looked into the alcohol markers more, because I really like when you can blend layers and have nice shading and everything with with markers, right? So I gave in and I ordered one of these smaller packs here with skin tones and cool gray. So two sets. I ordered those, and these are like 14 euros, I think. These should be 14. So I ordered them just to give the Copics a try. Woohoo! I love them. I really, really like painting with them, and I mostly use the super brush and not the medium broad, so you'd have, I should maybe take a color that's more visible. Let's go with this one, that's medium broad, so I don't use that tip a lot. I mostly go for this tip. And I went with a Copic gel, like the Italian Copics. There's other lines within the Copic markers, but I did go for those. Just well, they're now I don't want to say cheap because they're still expensive. It's like 4 euros. I should say almost 4 euros. It's like if I remember correctly, it's 3.79 or something per marker, or 4.79 even. I don't remember, but all the other Copics were even more expensive per pen, and me still being in the trying out phase, I thought, nah. I'm just gonna give it a try with the less expensive ones and see if they're as good as people say. The quality of the chows is amazing, and I like the tips. So I haven't tried any other Copic lines, but I can imagine, or otherwise, I can other way around. I can't imagine them even being more supreme when it comes to quality, how they blend and all of that. So I really like the Copics. Now, what I don't like is the packaging. So these are brand new, these packets. I bought 3 of them. This one's already been opened. I used this marker here, this all rose colored, but these are still closed, and I don't like how the packages are coming, because I mean, yeah, it's nice and everything, but I won't go back and forth with those plastic flaps. So eventually, and that's rather sooner than later, I'm getting rid of the package and just putting the pens somewhere. So I don't have a case where you can put them like this, just have them vertical. No, horizontal. God damn, not my kind of day. So having them horizontal so that the ink wets both tips equally. I don't have that yet. I will probably build something or make something available within the next, I should say 48 hours, because I do have enough markers that I definitely want to store like that. And coming back to the markers, they're just fantastic. They're very blendable. I can work with them on so many surfaces that they are probably not intended to work on, like wood and transparent paper, and having different styles with them. You might remember the sea stars, oceany paintings that I showed you. I think it was week 3, if I remember correctly. Anyway, I made some great sketches with those where the markers didn't look like Copic markers, but more like watercolors on paper. So very, very lovely. And meanwhile, I do have a pack of the main rainbow colors in here, and like I said, I recently added on with the pastel colors, like well, not as saturated colors, as well as the vintage colors. And I love that set. That's a gorgeous set, just with especially the green here and the blue. Oh, those colors are amazing. So it's really nice to work on those if you have a good surface, I should add. You need something that the colors can bleed into. They work very well on just book pages. I like those. There's a special paper that I got for the Copics, which are just, it's lovely to see the ink or the fluid, the color spread and blend just perfectly there. It's a very smooth, very white paper, definitely made for mangas, cartoons, Copic paintings, because it's of their own brand. The pens bleed through quite a bit, so you got to be sure what you have as a surface underneath to not ruin anything and things like that. But they're very lovely. They also work nice in connection with Indian ink markers. So I'm gonna come next to the artist brushes that I got from Faber-Castell when you have them both in a mixture, and watch out for that on Saturday. I have a mixed piece there, and you can see how well those markers work together. Or if you saw the art journal page on Monday this week with a heart, these were both Copics and the Faber-Castells, and they work really nicely with the Indian ink markers, which is Faber-Castell. However, if I would have all the money to spend in the world, and if I could actually afford it, I would prefer the Copics, just because their blendability it's almost not of this world. It's really, really great. The other thing that is a bit better when it comes to pricing per pen are the Faber-Castells, and of those I could actually afford the whole set of all 72 colors. I couldn't afford that with the Copics, so I don't. Well, I could if I saved up for a couple of months, and maybe I do, but just buying them in a month, that's doable with the Faber-Castells, but not with the Copics for me. So I tried those. I actually didn't want to go for another Indian ink marker in my studio, since I had tried the Copics first and loved them so much. However, I can't have all the colors. And there's just so much that you can do when it comes to mixing colors and stuff like that. And sometimes you just need a bright turquoise and whatnot, and you don't have the pen. So I bought those, one full set, pretty much every type of color you can imagine. When they are also blendable, so it's pretty much really any color you can imagine you can make them with this set here. So this was 72 colors, and it cost me maybe $90 or something. No, it's 48 colors and it cost me 72. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24, 48, 84 colors for $72. That's what they cost. Yeah, right. So I bought them. And they have a lovely case, I have to say, so I really like it. You can just store them like that. Awesome, right? And if you use them, there's some tiny string here. You can pull out the layers so that you can really access every pen and not have your fingernails ruined or your cuticles hurting afterwards. So I really, really like those. They're not as blendable as Copics, and you can't use them on some kind of paper, otherwise the paper would crumble. But that is just because they're Indian ink markers. So also I think these are the high quality Indian ink markers. I suspect that there's hardly any other company that would be as good or even better than the Faber-Castells, at least not in Europe. There might be some in the States that are not shipped over here, so I don't know about those, but in the surroundings of the European continent, those are really just like the great pens, and they are just as vibrant and everything, even as paper crumbling as the cheapies. So I think it's not about the quality. I think it's about the fact that it is Indian ink that is in the pens. So it might be more acid or something in there, some component that lets paper curl up the upper layer on a sheet of paper. So I really like those with watercolor papers, with mixed media papers, any structured papers. They worked awesomely well on that kind of paper. I tried them on the Copic paper and they worked so-so. They didn't peel as much of the paper away, but they peeled a bit. However, they didn't blend as well on the Copic paper. But you can work your way around it. You can manage. It's just not as convenient as it is with the Copics. They do have a bit of a smaller tip, which is really nice when you work on something that is not the hugest surface and you have some details that are really tiny that you want to color in. So this is great. Maybe for card making I would use those, or for the Tiny Tuesdays maybe a bit more, because they are just have very fine brush tips and they work so well with, like I said, pretty much any kind of paper. I don't even know if the paper that I used was acid free or not, because it was just some random paper that I tried them on where they peeled away the layers of the paper, and then you have these tiny colored crumbs there. I'm not sure. I think that you should have acid free paper, that it works better with the pens, and yeah. Anyways, I think with both of the Rolls Royces, the alcohol markers and the artist Indian ink markers, you can't go wrong. And if you're not sure, just they're open stock, so you just can buy one pen at a time. Maybe your birthday comes up, or Christmas, or Easter, or whatever holiday you might celebrate, where you might want to wish or can wish for a gift or something. Just ask for these markers. These will be on my birthday and Christmas list for the next years to come. I can tell you that. So I really like working with them, and I worked a lot with them. And I usually get things finalized, especially in my art journal, but also, where did I put it? I used it and now, there it is. In my art journal, but also in the Tiny Tuesdays, in paintings, I usually finish things off with permanent markers. So I do have a couple of different ones. Let me see if I can find them all. And also, I like it. I like using flower pots as storage units for my markers and pens and whatnot. And we're getting to that section here in a later vlog, maybe next week. I don't know yet. So I think I got them all. Yeah, let's get one of each. And that's so unprofessional, so unprepared. Wow. So with these packs here, there always comes a black permanent marker 0.3. And that's the Copic multi-liner, which I like a lot, but I use it pretty much only on flat surfaces. So not on watercolor paper or mixed media paper, but more on really like the flat papers, because it has a very, very fine and thin tip. And I managed to have one split, so that I had 2 black lines coming out of the marker every time I drew with it, so I want to prevent it. So with this one I only go onto really smooth surfaces. Then I do have the that's, I don't even know if you can have it all around the world, but you can have it at least in Europe. It's the Edding. That's a permanent black marker that is water soluble, water resistant. Let me see, it's made in Japan. It doesn't say anything if it's light fast or whatnot, but it's a super fine tip here, which is also a 0.3, but it's way more sturdy. So with those, I can actually go over not so smooth surfaces and have a great black line, whereas the Copic, I just don't do it anymore. It might work and I was just clumsy, I don't know, but not gonna have it anymore. So then I do have different sizes of Edding markers in black and also in white, because I like to make my highlights with the permanent markers. And then I do have the artist pens. These are the open ones. They come from Faber-Castell, and you have them in 4 different kinds of tips, which is also Indian ink, and I have mine here because that's just the refill, because I'm almost done. And they do have just different kinds of brushes that I really like to use in, or tips, not brushes, tips, that I really like to use to finish either clean lines, do have the thinnest kind of shadow on maybe canvas or whatnot. I really like to work with those in my art journals on the Tiny Tuesdays, just to have a clean line work, especially when it comes to cartoons and whatnot, and or pop art, I should say. It's not only cartoons, but also pop art. And then recently I bought this ball pen. It's also white pigment ink, and I just needed one with a very, very fine tip, and that's why I bought that one, and that's in use as well. So whenever I say I finish my painting up with permanent markers, this is what I do, and the pens that I'm using. So this is pretty much all of the different kinds of markers that I use. I mix and match all of them. However, I do prefer different markers over others. And that would be the Copics being my all-time favorite, with the Faber-Castells on second place, just because they're not as blendable as the Copics, but they are way nicer in the pricing segment. I have to say that they're pretty much on first place there, and not because it's just cheaper, just because if I buy a big set, it's easier for me to spend $150 than paying $600 for a set of 48. So that's just the ratio there way better with the Faber-Castells. Also, the cheapies, they have to have their place. They do have their place, especially when it comes to sketching, outlining, any composition of a painting, things like that. Also, when it comes to writing sentiments or whatever on cards, when it comes to card making or gift boxes, writing sentiments there, I really like to use those cheaper markers there sometimes. And also, just in my sketchbook, outlining and composing paintings to come. That's just something that I really like and that I keep those markers for. If I'd have to rebuy some, as you can see, I'm rebuying the Stabilos. There's also, by the way, they're water-based ink, and I'm rebuying those pretty much once or twice a year, always with a set of 12. I think it's 12. Should be 4, 8, no, set of 10. I'm not rebuying those in a full set, but maybe just like a 6 marker set there if they ever die on me. But they haven't died on me in like 5 years maybe, or 4 years now, so they're just very good for their price. There's a lot of liquid in those pens to work with. So anyway, longest ramble ever about markers. I hope you got some information out of this video and enjoyed, or got information that was helpful to you. If you have any questions, or if you want to have maybe a test drawing done with the Copics and the maybe Faber-Castell, if you're looking into buying those, or wanting to try one or both of the pens, just let me know. I would make a real-time comparing video with a certain cartoon or whatever that I draw there, and you can see the difference, how it behaves on paper. So let me know. Anyways, I think I'm done. I thank you very much for watching along that never seeming to end ramble. Also, I would very much appreciate if you either liked or shared this video with somebody that might get something useful out of my ramble. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I do have art videos, vlogs, board game videos, and cooking videos for you pretty much every day of the week. At least one of those every day of the week. And thank you again for watching. Have a very good one. Go create. Enjoy whatever you're doing or plan to do today. And I will see you tomorrow with a painting, and on Saturday with the art review episode of the Talker Club. Goodbye!